What's going on, guys? It's Justin here with Summit Racing, and we're out in sunny California with Rich here from Magnaflow, and we got all sorts of cool stuff going on.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you guys come out here and finally see what you guys stack on your shelves and how it's made and really how we get to that finished product. But I think the most important step is we're going to actually go to the tech center and really look at the science behind what goes into making that muffler. And hopefully it is something that's that simple for you guys to use, the end result, but all the engineering time that we go into it, that's what we're going to take a look at today.
You're kind of leading the way, so let's get to it.
We got to get some safety gear on. We're going to go ahead and head to the factory.
Heck yeah, let's do it. So Rich, we've made our way to the warehouse, and this is kind of the finished product, and we're going to work our way back.
Right, we're going to kind of start with the boxes that everybody's familiar with, and then we'll kind of dig into how we put it in the box and then what goes into making the product that we put in the box. So we start here, which you can see is quite big. You know, this is our main facility where we ship everything internationally. So when one of your customers comes up there and wants this product and they're coming from who knows where in the United States or even abroad, that order comes from your system into our system, down this conveyor system, and immediately into the shipping that we have here. Basically, what we've got to do is anticipate what we have coming in the next 30 days and make sure that it's in stock. At the same time, we're also operating here in California, United States. All of our manufacturing happens here. So what does that mean? That means that we've got to be very efficient. If we're putting products on a shelf and they're sitting there for 6 or 8 months, that's space that can be used for other things. And it could be as much as manufacturing them, could be for more volatile product. In other words, items that turn more quickly. So
yeah, that is absolutely awesome. And that's got to be really important when you're kind of trying to, you know, you're not only manufacturing parts, but you're trying to anticipate market trends to see what's going to sell best.
Right. And I mean, it's having good partners too. So when we use the data that you guys provide us about what's the most frequently purchased item, that all goes into this system to making sure that that item is not only manufactured and put into stock, but put in a place where it gets quickly shipped as well, because time is everything. People today want product quickly, and the only way we're getting them to it faster is making sure that it's in the warehouse and readily available.
And with Magnaflow, like an exhaust, when you go buy a new car, you're building a project, an exhaust is a huge part of it.
Yep. It's an initial buy. We find that there's about 5 things that we find consumers that are buying a new car, especially because it's an identity thing as much as it's a functional thing. It's like, everybody thinks about wheels and tires. It does a look and it has a functional performance. Then it's like, what doesn't affect the computer in a negative way that's compliant? Well, you got intake and exhaust, what goes in and what comes out. And then there's ultimately that last little tidbit, whether it's window tinting, a stripe, a wing or something like that, some kind of a aesthetic feature that kind of sets it apart. So we're in that crew of things that have to be readily available for when that customer's like, I want to do something with my car. And that's a great part about what we're going to show you today is what we put into making sure that we can create that individual character you want, but also at the same time make sure it's something that your lifestyle can deal with, because nobody wants drone, nobody wants that noise that makes you want to not drive your car. I mean, the whole purpose here is we want power, we want sound, but we also want to enjoy that investment we're making in the car.
Yeah, and there's a ton more science that goes into figuring that out, and we're going to get to see that, and I'm super excited.
Before we see the science, I got to show you how we get it in the box, so let's take a look at production.
Heck yeah, let's go. So Rich, we've made our way into manufacturing, and we're kind of in the nitty gritty of it. Yep. So tell us about the area we're standing in.
So this is probably the most recognizable aspect of what we do. We're going to talk about bending and some of the other elements of welding, but here's where we actually put together and assemble the mufflers. So those internals, the perforation core, the different patterns we use in it, all of those goes into different robots that we have set up to work on the individual steps. So we have the internal being made, and then we have our 2-stage packing. So you'll see behind us here some of that packing material. And we have the stainless wool that gets wrapped around it. And all of that goes into a casing, and then finally into our muffler welding device, which we'll take a close look at in the end, but that gives us consistency. So not only do we measure the amount of packing material that goes into it, that we have robots precision welding the internals, but all the parts on the outside are also welded by a similar robot to make sure that what we have is going to repeat, because there's nothing worse than in a dual exhaust having 2 mufflers with different packing densities, different welding processes, and potentially having a failure on a system that relies upon 2 parts being completely identical. So in this cell, we're looking at the manufacture of what I call the most important part, the muffler, because this is what creates the sound we want, but also is going to make sure that we can flow the capacity we need, which we'll talk about when we get into engineering.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about all that goes, it's not just a muffler, and there's so much that goes into it, and I'm absolutely mind blown, because I've already learned so much, and we're not even into it.
No, we're just in the part of where we take all that technology and start assembling it, and that's how much every step matters, is that if the assembly isn't done to the same effect we've done the research and development, it can actually defeat the process. If we don't put it together in a way that repeats what we tested in engineering, the production process means we're adding variability, and to to be quite honest, we control sound, and that's sound pressure waves. That's something where small changes in how we weld or where the gaps are will affect the net product. And at the end of the day, we want it to flow consistent, and we want it to perform at an auditory level in a way that's predictable. And the only way we can do that is robotic controls with all the different measures we've taken here in production.
Yeah, because that's a big thing is, you know, you hear another car with a Magnaflow exhaust, you have the same car, you're like, oh, I want that exhaust, you buy it, install it, you want it to sound the same. That's you bought it on the principle of the sound. So that's to, you know, have that unity and it all sound the same is very important.
Absolutely, and what we do get with that sound performance here is consistency. And the other part to look at too is we are offering a lifetime warranty product, which means that we got to make sure every step is executed the same every time. So where we do have all of our craftsmen here that are making great parts, we have them paired off with machines that can repeat that cycle over and over again. And actually, I think it's pretty interesting here. Let's go take a look. I think he just loaded up the muffler welding machine, so you can actually watch the process of how it not only handles the product, but consistently welds all aspects in one fell swoop.
I'm excited to see this in action. Let's go.
Take a look.
So we've made our way from manufacturing over here to the Magnaflow R&D area, and there's lots of cool stuff over here. We've kind of already got to see a couple things, like the 3D scanner. That was one of my favorites. I need one. I don't know what for, but...
Oh yeah, you know what for. It basically allows you to take something that's up here or something we think that we see out there and turn it into real numbers and real parts. Like you saw, we got to put that OEM product on the scanner. It rotates, it sees all the different angles, and it creates that plot map. And then we go from taking that plot map off all the way over to our bender, and we bend out that part. And you got to see Jose going to work. You know, we take those parts, we create basically our first prototype, and we install them on the vehicle. And we're now ready within minutes of having the car here with parts that fit the car that we can actually go out and test drive. The rapid prototyping process is critical because we can only prep so much with our product line in advance of the real car coming out. The OEMs will provide us some data. Sometimes they'll give us, you know, imagery or even a loaner car, but it's a mule. And the mules aren't always finished. So when we look at our finished product, if the performance calibration isn't exactly where we are, we're kind of hitting a moving target. If the sound isn't quite where it's at because they're going to put some other noise dampening in the car when we tune for that vibration in the drone, it may not be accurate as well. So what we're really targeting is fitment until we get the actual car so we can test real power, baseline it, and see what we did afterwards. And then obviously the real sound, because that finished car is going to be the one thing that the consumer has that none of the mules will have, is that final stamp of this is what it sounds like after production. So you got a chance when we got that first prototype on there to kind of take it for a rip and understand what it sounds like. And you can kind of see that's every car we come in here not only has to go through the rigorous test of the dynamometer, but it's got to sound good too.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. You know, we went out, we got to drive the Mustang, see what it sounds, see the exhaust quality and difference, and kind of how you guys even incorporated the live valve right into your system, which I think was one of the neatest things. Like it's cool that you can just reach up on the dash, smack a button, and change the exhaust profile completely.
What did you call it? The happy pipe?
The party pipe.
Yeah, that's right. And that's something that we want to make sure here with the exhaust systems, that we have compatibility with all the other systems. Cars are very sophisticated today. With an electronic valve in there, we want to make sure that it's not causing issues with the computer, that it's working the way it should, but that it does truly give you a unique experience with the product, that one isn't just stock, but two is an enhancement over that. And once we get through that aspect of it, you know, we've got a model, we've got a sound validation, we've got a power validation, we go into our final step, which is the fixturing part. So now we've got our prototype, we have something that we can replicate and then obviously put in a box. And as you saw through the rest of the trip, you know, you saw what we do in the packaging and the production department, how it gets made and put in a box, and eventually you saw how it goes down that conveyor belt and gets delivered to the final customer. So you got to see pretty much the whole package today, starting from where we are today, which is the inception, all the way to how it gets delivered out the door.
Yeah, it's a truly magnificent process, and you guys have it down to quite the science.
That's been our primary goal here, is how do we keep all of this production here in the Americas, and while we're doing that, making sure that we've still built a quality product that's relevant to our customer, that really addresses the great part about this business, which is high performance.
Yes, and you guys have knocked that goal out of the park. Man, Rich, this has been a lot of fun. I had a ball and I learned so much.
It was a pleasure to have you out here. I know we talk a lot about the types of things we do, the business behind the business, but to come out here firsthand, see the tech, and experience it yourself, I think that's something you just can't describe in words.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. You know, we saw the ins and outs of the whole muffler manufacturing process and got to have a lot of fun doing it. You know, we got to test drive that sweet Mustang, and that was just an absolute ball. So until next time, you know, we've had fun. I just want to thank Rich again for having us out, and make sure to like and subscribe to that Summit Racing YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of the action, and punch that notification bell so you're the first to know when we post a new video. Head over to summitracing.com and check out the whole Magnaflow product line and get an exhaust for your ride. I'm Justin with Summit Racing. We have Rich here with Magnaflow. Thanks for watching, and the golden question is, what are you working on?